Hey, this is Jason.
This is Seth.
And this is a Rough Country Podcast.
So today in the studio, we have with us a guy that we both respect very greatly. He is our VP of Sales here at Rough Country, Tim Watts. Tim, thank you for joining us. I know it's, blocking us out and giving us your time is important. So thank you for that. But start us out with, just telling us a little bit about where you're from, your background, and then eventually we'll get to how that transitioned into your involvement in the industry and obviously a career that is very well respected, not only through industries, communities, and things like that, but especially for us here at Rough Country.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me on. It's neat to be included as we kind of build this out.
Yeah.
And, for me, I'm originally from Louisiana, born and raised in West Monroe area.
Sure brought some boudin, man.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can't find that real easy here in Tennessee.
That's right.
So born and raised there, been in the industry my entire life. This is all I've ever really done is in the automotive industry. Mm-hmm. And got into it very early on. My dad actually it was a big influence in that. We were always automotive we were an automotive family.
Yeah.
Right. So my dad had an old hot rod. He had a body shop. He was always one of these guys, do everything yourself. He could build it. He could dream it. He could sketch it. He could cut it. He could weld it. He could put it together.
That's cool, man.
And,
that is so cool.
So he and my brother and I built this 1937 Chevrolet sedan.
And it was brand new, right?
Yeah, there's nothing new about it, man.
Showing his age.
Yeah, but we this is early 80s.
Gotcha.
We'll call it early 80s, and that's what we did on the weekends, man. We didn't know what a beach was.
Yeah.
We just thought that's where the whales died.
Yeah, right.
When we went on vacation, it was to a hot rod run or something like that, a car show or something.
Yeah.
So it was kind of always in the blood. And then later, my dad taught auto body at a trade school for a little while, and then one of his friends, Brett Lovett, who owned Superlift Suspensions, approached him about taking the role as R&D, and designing kits. And he went to work for Brett, and I'm going to say that was probably 86 or so.
And Superlift is in
West Monroe, Louisiana as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that would have been 86, 88 Chevy. The first true IFS, suspension came out, and it's funny how you hear things in the industry over a period of time. How we're done. The industry's going to die.
Right.
We can't adapt.
The changes.
Yeah. So it's there was that talk.
Sure.
And
Going from a straight axle to IFS.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like, how are we ever going to do this? It won't be affordable. It won't be anything that somebody can do, can't do in a shop or that kind of thing. Well, he built the very first IFS kit for the Chevy. And it really helped propel Superlift at the time to one of the leaders in the industry.
Yeah.
For lift kits. So that's kind of how I got involved. I went to work for Superlift in the summers while I was in high school, actually. So
that's cool.
I've been picking up leaf springs since a child.
You've got your reps in.
Yeah, that's right. So I went to college. Was working for Superlift while I was enrolled in college. Stayed there with Superlift, eventually moved into sales, and just kind of went from there.
Right.
And you wake up one day and go, I guess this is a career.
Sure.
I've been doing it long enough.
Right.
It's a career now.
Well, and back to your point, it's kind of that environment, that lifestyle, it's kind of all you've ever known.
Yeah, it was something it was fun.
Right.
You enjoyed doing it.
Yeah.
Once at SEMA, had a Neil Young, the rock star Neil Young is at SEMA, and
he's having to educate me on all
the
Oh well, showing my age.
So and Neil Young is pushing it, man. I mean, he's up there for me too. But he had built a Lincoln with an electric motor, And they had displayed it at SEMA, and we were talking to him, and I had the opportunity to meet him. I'm standing there, and he's like, "Man, you guys have the best job in the world."
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you mean?
Right,
He's
right.
like, dude, you get to wake up every day and you're thinking about cars. You're thinking about automotive. You're thinking about trucks. You're thinking about whatever.
The things that he loves to do.
Dude, you're a rock star, man. I don't think my job is nearly the same as yours, but
Sure.
And we catch that same comment sometimes at trade shows. They're like,
Right.
man, I'd love to have your job. And sometimes I think we take it for granted.
For
that
sure.
We are so blessed to be in this industry.
Yeah. That was going to be one of my questions, for you, because one thing I get asked a lot is as you get to do what you love and then eventually being able to do it for your professional career, that dynamic between doing what you love and then the challenges that come with any career, whether it's the work inputs or just the frustration, anything, what's been that dynamic of navigating your love for what you do versus sometimes what it requires of you to do it well and to be successful, because, I'm only kind of 4 or 5 years into my career talking to somebody that's been in it for, how many.
watch it.
Yeah. So it's I think there's a lot of truth in that, a lot of beauty in that, a lot of commitment in that, not to lose the passion and the love that you have for your craft.
Well, I think that's the key word there is passion.
Yeah.
If you really love what you do. Now, I've heard people say if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Obviously, I don't love this because I've worked plenty.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think anything that you believe in, you're committed to, and you really lean into and want to succeed, it's going to be work. And there's going to be days that, man, I wish, I want to do something different or whatever. But at the end of the day, man, it's been a passion. And for me, it's trucks, it's 4-wheel drives, but it's anything automotive.
Sure. Yeah, because we don't do hot rods. Rough Country doesn't do hot rods, but that's really what fueled a lot of your initial love with your projects with your dad and things like that.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And that's one of the things that I always liked about the industry. It was really interesting to me that the industry was kind of born from a hobby.
Right.
It was guys that came home from World War II and had learned these trades at a time where we're at war, and now they're looking for a way to put them to work.
Right.
To put them to use.
Yeah.
So you look at like key brands out there like Edelbrock and some of those guys, and that Vic Edelbrock Sr. and Ed Iskandarian and some of these guys that were putting together, putting those trades to work and really racing out of the backyard, and it turned into an industry.
Right. Yeah.
A complete industry.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, absolutely. So, as you've progressed through your career, what are some of the biggest, so for example, like you talking about, when IFS first came onto the scene and, the reception to that change is kind of like, oh my goodness, like this is going to be the end of us. What are some of the other dynamics that you've seen just throughout your progress of like, big changes, those kind of things? I know, for example, with us right now in the automotive space is going from, gas burners with electric, just some of those dynamics. A lot has changed, and it will be changing.
Yeah, it never ends. Now we're faced with the electric vehicles, EVs, ADAS, all of the advanced driver warning systems, and all of the electronics that are equipped on a vehicle today. We're driving computers
For sure.
Which is wild.
and I think there's a constant need, but that's also what propels the industry forward. That's what keeps you going is to solve some of those issues and changes. So, I mentioned the IFS. Another example of that would have been, the OBD2 computer system coming out, and some of the performance guys going, oh man, the performance industry's dead.
Sure.
You know what it did? It grew.
Yeah.
It took off. You find a way to solve these issues and keep pushing forward.
And for the most successful brands out there to be able to adapt to the upcoming market, the new market, without a doubt, if there's flying cars one day, how are we going to lift a flying car?
Right.
But there's other products that we offer that we could offer for flying cars.
Right. Need some seat covers.
Yeah, I mean, we have to adapt, and the industry's adapted across all platforms, and that's what makes the brands that are still rocking.
Right. No, absolutely.
The ability to evolve.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right, because the industry evolves, the automotive sector has evolved, the industry evolves, and the brands evolve. And I think that's where Rough Country is in a unique position today, is the evolution that's happened really over the last 10 years, probably. Even more recently in the last 3 to 5.
Right.
You know, our product categories that we address, we're not just a suspension company anymore. Suspension is what we cut our teeth on, and we know it, we love it, we breathe it every day. But we also see that suspension has kind of been a gateway into a lot of these other product categories.
Absolutely.
Right? If a customer's going to lift their truck, then they're likely going to buy tires and wheels, and they're going to need steps and running boards, and we also know that, hey, that's an automotive enthusiast.
That's right.
Right. And I look at, an automotive enthusiast is almost like a person that's into fashion. That vehicle describes you like the clothes in your closet.
Yep. No, that's a good point.
Right. So people are going to personalize no matter what it is, whether it's an EV or whether it's a F-350 Super Duty. People are going to personalize. People are going to put their signature on their vehicle. And I think it's cool to look at those canvases of a vehicle and think about new product and new things that people would be interested in to do to their own vehicle.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Quickly, going back to, so when you were at Superlift, you started working on weekends, things like that, get into college. What, was sales just kind of the funnel that it took you, or, is that sales, what you were really like, okay, in the world of business operations, like, so I gravitate towards sales?
I don't know. I think the way I look at sales, and I tell people all the time, we have a pretty robust sales organization here, but I tell them, anybody can be a salesman if you know what you're talking about.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. If you know the product and you know what you're doing, anybody can be a salesman, because that's what people really want, is a good answer and a good solution.
Very well said.
And that's kind of how I fell into it. I certainly had the background from the technical standpoint of the relationship with my dad, and he was doing some of the design and those kind of things. So I felt really comfortable talking about camber angles and caster and, whatever could come up. Somebody called with a technical issue and I could see it in my mind. And I think that's what makes a good salesperson is just understanding, knowing your product, and then doing what you say you're going to do.
Right. Providing the customer service at the right level.
That's right. But, I fell into sales because that was really just kind of the opportunity.
Sure.
And I've been very, very fortunate in my career to have had some really good mentors.
Yeah.
Brett Lovett, mentioned Brett earlier. He owned Superlift at the time, and he was one of those guys that was never shy to give you enough rope to hang yourself.
Sure, right.
You go figure it out, and would encourage you along the way. And I started doing some shows. I started traveling around and calling on some customers. And like most things, when you start, you don't get a title or anything to go with it. But if you stick to it and you're steadfast with it, sooner or later, you're that guy.
Yeah, proving grounds.
That's kind of how it happened.
That's
cool. We used some reps at that time, and I worked with some really good reps and just met other people in the industry that were willing to spend a few minutes and talk to a young guy that was curious.
Yeah.
And understand how things work and who the players really were, and that's kind of where it started.
Yeah, that's good. And you were at Superlift for how long?
A little over 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, a little over 20 years.
That's awesome. So what kind of transpired the move? Because did you go from Superlift to here at Rough Country, or was there anything in between that?
No, I didn't. Actually, I went to work with Trans-American Auto Parts.
Gotcha.
So I went to work for Four Wheel Parts for about four or 5 years.
Yeah.
Between Superlift and Rough Country. Greg Adler, who owned Four Wheel Parts, and I had a good relationship, vendor-customer relationship.
Yeah.
And he had offered several times that, hey, you need to come out here and we connected one day, and it just happened to be a good day.
Sure,
you know,
right.
and
Right time and
right place. And I said, man, I want to take a peek behind that curtain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to see what's going on out there. So I took that job, and I did that. I was category manager and eventually category director. I would tell you the same thing. Worked with some great people, some more good mentors.
Sure.
You know, and then the opportunity came with Rough Country.
Yeah.
And my wife and I, we were in Louisiana. I had 2 kids that were sophomores in high school.
Yeah.
And
which is a big season of life to make a big transition.
oh, it is, man. And so we were talking like we're going to move to from West Monroe, Louisiana to Southern California. And I don't know what to tell my kids on the first day of school other than don't talk too slow.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Because for several years there, you would commute back and forth from Southern California to Louisiana.
every other week.
Wow.
Every other week.
'cause you
yeah,
never
so-
officially moved the family out there.
I didn't. Yeah. I tell everybody I worked in L.A. and I lived in L.A. and you can determine which was the good one or the bad one.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It's up to you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
a good way to put it.
we had the opportunity to join the Rough Country team. I had a lot of respect for Rough Country. I'd been along for the ride to see how Rough Country had evolved over the years, and had always had a good relationship with the Rough Country team.
Yeah.
Way back to in the early days with Superlift, early 90s. Superlift and Rough Country were competitors.
Right.
But we were both very small companies.
That's right.
And neither one could buy shocks. We couldn't make the minimums to buy shocks from Gabriel or Monroe. So we were competitors, but we were friendly competitors, and we co-op purchased shocks.
Gotcha.
And some
That's
other
interesting.
components and things like
it's
that.
It's like, hey, well, we know the baseline here, but we got to still operate. you
That's
know?
right. That's
So-
right. So we were competitors, but we had mutual respect
Yeah.
and had a good relationship. So Rough Country reached out to me and asked if this was something I'd be interested in. And
Yeah.
for the wife and I, moving from West Monroe, Louisiana to Dyersburg, Tennessee is same soup, different bowl.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. You're still by the Mississippi River.
That's right. That's right.
One way or the other.
And it's been great, man. We love it here. We love the people. We love the company. Still close enough to home,
Right.
But
You drive down quite a bit.
not as much as I want to or should probably, but yeah, I mean, I'm down there at least once every other month or
Right.
so.
Or the abilities there to go down there.
That's right. That's right.
I just need to jump in the truck with you during duck season and go
Head
hook
on
up
down.
with the Robertsons.
Hey, there's plenty of good duck hunting around
Yeah.
there, but there's plenty of good duck hunting right here.
Oh
too.
yeah, no doubt. It's hard for me to leave home.
So when you first joined the team, or when you first come to visit, your first visit or whatever, what were some of the things that really stood out or shocked you, surprised you about Rough Country?
I think it's Rough Country's ability to deliver what I call or like to refer to as that Amazon-like expectation.
Right.
Yeah.
Rough Country's commitment to customer service, standing behind the product, is absolutely second to none, and anybody you talk to in the industry will tell you that.
For sure.
Right.
Anybody that is in the know or that deals with us on any kind of regular basis will tell you that our customer service is just absolutely, hands down, it's the best out there.
Right.
And we put a lot of pride in
Right.
that. Some other things was the size of the operation here. We're running here in Dyersburg now almost 1 million square feet
Right.
under roof. There's a misconception. Probably a lot of times you hear that Rough Country is made in China, whatever.
Right.
Well, like everybody, we import some items.
Right.
Certainly we do, but
We manufacture.
we manufacture a lot of parts right here in West Tennessee.
That's right.
We move close to 2 million pounds of steel a month through our manufacturing facility.
That's crazy.
That's no joke.
That's amazing.
I mean, that's a lot.
And that's especially, I mean, for a lot of the events we go to or conversations we have, even just with rough country customers, whether they've ran us for a long time or whether they're just now starting to build a vehicle, when you start telling them those things, and it's very eye-opening. Just offering that basic education of this is what goes on, and this is what it takes for us to operate at the level that we do.
Yeah. So I've invited a lot of people to come by and take a tour, and I've never given the tour to anyone that wasn't just totally blown away.
Sure.
Even guys that thought they knew.
They thought they knew. That's right.
They thought they knew, but when they was, oh my God, I had no idea you guys had so much going on.
That's right. Even for me, I've taken dealers around that's been here 6-7 years ago that then revisited, last year, this year, whatever, and the wow factor,
right?
Those 5-6 year change.
Well, one thing rough country is definitely not is static.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I mean, we are moving all the time.
And every time we move, we don't abandon the building we were in. We just
maybe
revamp.
That's some of the real story around rough country. I mentioned how rough country has evolved and how it's kind of taken off, and in the last 10 years, probably the biggest move there to really kind of create that culture to move forward was moving manufacturing in-house.
Right.
And that's when Rad Hunsley joined the team and helped create and start manufacturing. And now we've got a world-class manufacturing facility over there. We've got a world-class powder coating facility over there. And now Rad is running the product development side.
That's right. And pumping out a lot of products. Good products.
My gosh, man, we put out more product than any place I've ever worked or been involved with. And at Four Wheel Parts, I was involved with a lot of brands. We put out a lot of product.
Yeah, we
put out a lot.
Man, it was pretty overwhelming. I've talked with Burks about it. It was kind of overwhelming for me when I came internal, with the media talent stuff and things like that. It's like, okay, here's 40 products to shoot. I was like, man, I can't even breathe. It's so much. I was like, here we go.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with.
Yeah.
But we are. I mean, and one of the things that we quickly adopted was a first to market mentality.
That's right.
So we said, hey, we're there's no excuses now. There's no reason we shouldn't be first to market. And Rad and his team are committed to that. And as far as I'm aware, since 2017, 2018, I don't think there's been a platform that came out that we weren't first to market.
Yeah.
With. And that's really been a push for us and continues to be. And now we're pushing into new expanded categories,
right?
That continue to grow and do well. And
even going to first to market with expanded categories, we're able to be first to market with the new platform to Tacoma, fender flares.
That's right.
Because of our
plastics division.
Our plastics division. That's right.
Yeah, and that brings new challenges. Like, okay, you think about the principle or the ambition of first to market, and then it's like being first to market on 30 different categories. From flares to seat covers to obviously suspension kits. Floor, all the things, bed covers. That takes challenge in itself and takes us just continually growing and getting better.
Continuing to evolve.
Yeah.
So, just from an engineering standpoint, one of the things that's evolved so much is, the way a suspension kit is designed today versus what I saw starting out.
Sure.
Right?
And man, that's what I'm always curious about. That's one thing I think it's so cool just having you on and hearing your feedback and take, because it's a lot of those things, even, a lot of mine and Burke's conversations, it's a lot of what I know or see is just within the recent, 4 or 5 years of my career. So it's like, there's so much dynamic and shift of understanding it at a deep level.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I've seen lift kits designed from cardboard cutouts and plumb bobs and tape measures and that kind of thing, and prototypes, and then you work that prototype back into a fixture and something that you can
test and retest and refit and refit.
Yeah. Versus today where everybody's using 3D CAD modeling and the fit is so much better, the function is better. Look, there's not a suspension company in the market today that's not better than they were in 1990.
With technology
right,
that
with
we have.
the technology is so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, kind of going back to your career, as you've progressed through it, I know you've been involved with SEMA in many different forms and fashions, things like that. So, what kind of led you into being a part of the, SEMA organization? And obviously, you go to SEMA a lot and with all the actual big trade show, but there's a lot of behind the scenes things going on there too as well.
Yeah, I think that, I had exposure to SEMA early on in my career as an exhibitor, an attendee, and an onlooker, right? I mean, it's like this is the world's largest candy store. I just want to walk around and look 100%, and see everything. But when I really got involved with SEMA, I joined a couple of councils.
Gotcha.
And that's what I usually tell people to do. Hey, if you'd like to get involved, that's the best place to start. Look at a couple of these councils, get involved and see what you can do, and find a place that fits you. And what I found was that SEMA is so much more than a trade show.
Sure.
Right. From a revenue standpoint, SEMA's challenged in that it's always kind of a one-trick pony. It's the show. That's where all the revenue comes from to support the organization for the year.
Right.
But it does so much more. And to me, one of the most important is on the legislative side, the ledge reg side of things. They have a team in Washington, D.C. that's plugged in, watching all the time, that's lobbying on behalf of the automotive enthusiasts, the automotive aftermarket, and trying to help us keep going. Because
from land management to vehicle emissions.
Absolutely. From all-encompassing, right? Things that we take for granted because we're an industry that, they're with the swipe of a pen, things could change drastically. So so SEMA really is the watchdog for the industry, for the enthusiast, and for the manufacturers, everybody involved, all the way through the distribution process. Right. Yeah. So that was what kind of attracted me to it. So I got involved with the YEN network, is what it was called at that time.
Gotcha.
Young Executives Network, and I actually qualified.
I guess I did check it out.
Yeah. At that time, I think the limit was 39 and younger.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I did that, and
you qualified?
I did.
Wow.
I did. Not for long.
He was young enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did say 70s, right, or 80s. I can't remember.
And then I met a couple of guys that again, good mentors. Good mentors, good people that I got plugged in with. Rick Rollins, Van Waddell, Ron Funfar, Mike Spagnola. A ton of guys that were on the board at the time, and really encouraged me to run for the board. And I thought, man, I'm not gonna run for the board.
Sure. What's my campaign's like?
What the hell? I don't know if I really belong in that room. And so I did it, and I won. I got on the board. I remember I was so
I feel like
nervous.
you're just as surprised today as you were then.
Yeah.
He was like, and I won.
It's like, what do I do now?
The first thing you have to do, though, you have to have a management team and support to do that, because it does take some time.
Gotcha.
It's very rewarding.
And
but it does take time, and you got to have the management team both at home and at work, to support you in that. And thankfully I did, you know, because it does require some travel and things like that. My wife, she was supportive, and I did little like 3.5 consecutive terms on the board. So
how long is the term?
2 years.
Gotcha.
And we changed that. The board was larger at the time, and the board got shrunk a little bit, and the time frames changed to like 3 years or something now. But
your wife's been to almost as many SEMAs as you, though, hasn't she? She's been to a bunch.
She's been to a lot.
That's cool.
Yeah, she's always been plugged in, man. I mean,
super supportive.
Well, look,
brings its own challenge.
I will tell you. I will tell you and all the listeners. I outkicked my coverage. Without
he tells me all that all the time.
I way outkicked my coverage. Yeah. So there were plenty of old guys around SEMA that were more happy to see her coming than they ever were me.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, she got to tag along for a lot of those trips. They do one board meeting a year is kind of a destination type trip, and all the wives come, and it was
fun.
It was good.
Yeah. Build some community and connection around it.
That's right.
Yeah. I guess I need to join the SEMA Young Professionals.
Man, I forget what it's. I think it's called maybe ETTN today, Emerging Trends and Technology Network.
Dang.
So yeah, but yeah, man, I would definitely encourage you to get involved with some of those councils. And there's a ton of different ones. There's a Torah, which is all around trucks and things like that. So I mean,
so some of the councils evolve. I got you. So some of the councils are more category segment specific.
That's exactly how it's set up.
Gotcha.
So you have a pro council, so upfitters, restylers, that kind of thing, and
cool.
Wheel and tire,
suspension.
So I like I said, different ways to get involved, but.
Right.
I remember when I got elected to the board, I was really nervous. I was nervous.
So what was that process like? I mean, I was joking about the whole campaign thing, but it's like,
you did.
How does that roll?
It's a campaign.
Gotcha.
I mean, you do some direct mail, you do some email, and a lot of phone calls.
Yeah.
A lot of encouragement. So every SEMA member gets a vote. So every SEMA member manufacturer votes for the manufacturer board seats. So there was a lot of campaigning, a lot of calling, and asking people for their support, their vote, and they want to know, well, what are you about, and what are you going to try and do?
Sure.
But I remember telling a buddy of mine, I said, man, I don't know what I'm going to do in there. I am so nervous, and I remember Greg telling me, he's like, dude, what are you nervous about? They're not curing cancer.
Sure.
Right. We're talking about cars.
Yeah. Gave you perspective. Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I do belong in there. I can talk about cars and industry and business.
Yeah.
And did. But it was and still very much is a humbling experience to be around guys that I thought were heroes.
Right. Well, and I think that's so much of the difference, because obviously anybody can step into a management leadership position and fill that position. But for somebody like yourself that is actually invested in and trying to take that to a high standard and fill that role, whether it's with the council or obviously here at Rough Country, because your decision making is impacting the operation and the decision making of many other people or whatever organization or group it is. It's always refreshing to me because if you're not really worried about it, or it's like, do you really care about what you're doing, and the passion that you have for it. So that's cool. So as you've obviously moved here to Rough Country and as your family relocated and things like that, what's been some of the things that you've learned about yourself or challenges you faced with just helping us level up the way that we have on the sales side, whether it's our customer service team, obviously we're integrating into some new structure even with sales to fill our roles better. And so what's been some of the keys that have really helped us just continue to maintain our customer service and our sales to what has grown Rough Country to what we are now, but also how to continue to grow on that?
Well, I think, it's a good question, Seth. And, for us, customer service was always such a focus point for Rough Country, and it came top down, CEO all the way down. It was all about customer service.
Yeah.
You would hear the CEO every order, every day.
Right.
We got to take care of these customers. If you don't take care of your customers, somebody else will.
Yeah.
What are we doing to take care of the customer? And, we're like I said earlier, we're very proud of the fact that we do have a good customer service experience.
Right.
And we want to do whatever it takes to maintain that. One of the things that we do, we manage kind of an answer rate is how there's a KPI that we use to develop that. But what we want, we're very unique, very, very, very different. We don't have a receptionist in the company. There is no receptionist. You call Rough Country you get the customer service team. The first voice you hear is not a recording. It is a person, and it is a person that is equipped with everything they need to be able to handle whatever it is you have. Right. And if they can't handle it, they've got a support system to get you to somebody that can handle
or get the
answers. whatever the question is or whatever the answer is. That's right. So what we strive for is that we have an 85% first ring rate.
Gotcha.
So we want that phone call answered by a person 85% of the time.
Yeah.
And we maintain that rate.
Yeah.
Which is to put that in perspective, right? I mean, we will sometimes answer 25 to 30,000 calls.
That's what I was about to ask. Is
how
many inbound calls are coming in?
A lot. Yeah. Especially in peak times of the year.
Right.
And we've got to support that. I mean, and we've had the commitment from the leadership team to be able to support that.
Right.
I mean, we have a pretty robust team. We've got roughly 40 people in sales and customer service.
About 35 or so here in Tennessee, and another 5 or 6 out in Reno, Nevada.
Gotcha.
That's right. And we're open from 7 a.m. Central Time, Monday through Thursday, to 10 p.m. Central Time. On Friday, we're open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central Time, and 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Time on Saturday.
Gotcha. Man, it's such a game changer. Just out of the fact of so much has evolved, and obviously, like you said earlier, we're able to operate kind of off this Amazon expectation, but still being able to provide a very supportive expectation of either, hey, I'm trying to install X, I just need some support, whatever the question is of a customer calling in, and being able to maintain that capacity to help.
Yeah, no, this is a great point. You think about it. Yes, we can deliver that Amazon-like expectation. You order it, you get a tracking number the same day. We ship 98% all product same day.
Yeah.
If it's in by 4 p.m. Central Time, it ships that day.
Yeah.
Again, very proud of that. So again, delivering that Amazon-like expectation. Where we exceed that Amazon-like expectation is call somebody at Amazon.
Right.
You ain't gonna get them
right. I mean, what are you gonna do?
No, that's right, man.
So we try to back it up and deliver a first class, world class experience.
Right.
The experience starts from the way our web team has developed our website, to how our call center is handled, the different methods of communication through chats, through emails, all the support ways to contact us, all the way down to the tracking and the digital information that's received after sale and the after sale support.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense, and good to be a part of it for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, so, speaking of sales, what's it like being Burks' boss?
Well, we all make sacrifices, Seth.
That's right. There's always always trade-offs.
We all have our dues to pay, right?
Yeah.
And it's wow. I don't even know how to answer that one.
I think to keep the podcast PG, I don't know if it could be answered.
Pain in the ass.
Yeah,
I could answer it, but it'll never make the air.
That's right.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Well, I know, because obviously from me coming in internal and then meeting different departments and things like that, Birch respects you in a lot of ways, and just from I know you may banter across that, but I've learned things from him that I know you've shared with him. It's a compound effect, and I think that's
going back to mentors. Even though Tim's been a part of my life,
there you go.
for 5 years, I guess, 5 years, I've learned so much from him.
Right.
On more the business side of it. Not saying he doesn't have any knowledge from me on the customer service side of it.
Sure.
Just been with the company for so long, a lot of that, but it was the business side of it and how to approach different problems and sales aspects of it that I've learned so much, and it's so much good information.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind you say that, but I mean, I do.
I try to bring out the kind out of them.
It doesn't last long, does it? No, look, never stop learning,
Right.
Never stop sharing.
Yeah.
Right. Never take yourself too serious. And certainly don't take anybody else that serious.
Right.
I mean, what are we doing? And it's back to that comment about SEMA. We're not curing cancer.
Right.
I mean, we love what we do. It's fun. It is very serious. It is business.
Yeah.
And we expect to win.
That's
right.
That is if Rough Country has a motto, I think that's it. We expect to win.
Right.
And we expect
And do what it takes.
everybody alongside us to do what it takes to win. So I'm going to do my best job, and I expect you to do your best job. And as long as everybody's in line with that, I don't think there's any limitations to what Rough Country can be or can become.
Copy that. I'm about ready to run through a freaking wall. Let's
It's like
go.
when you walk through our sales building.
go.
Our sales office had this banner that Tim had created, and it's all like 10 keys to customer service or something. I can't remember the exact wording of it. But one of them, it's everybody sweeps the floor.
Yeah.
Like there's no job beneath you and there's no job above you.
Right.
Like everybody gets in and gets it done to take care of the customer and get the product out, make sure it's all proper.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that Tim has definitely instilled the most is, it's all hands on deck all the time.
Right. So Tim, with your history, your career, obviously you've, a long-standing career, different companies, being involved with SEMA, what sets Rough Country apart? What makes us unique in the way that we operate and the way that we have handled and taken care of business for, the many years that we've been operating?
Well, it's a good question. We talked a little bit about the culture and things like that I think are unique and different from most businesses. But really, from a business standpoint, what makes Rough Country unique is that we don't distribute product to the consumer through the same method or via the same channels that a lot of our competitors or peers do.
Gotcha.
We sell primarily consumer direct and installer direct.
Gotcha.
And in doing so, allows us to be very strategic with a consumer price point, so that what we believe is that we want to deliver a good quality product at a fair price, even when our competitors don't or can't. Right? So we're not, if we could make a crazy amount of margin on an item, we don't feel like that's really what we're here to do. We're here to make an adequate margin on all of our products, and help grow the industry, help grow the sport, help grow the enthusiast base, by making it more affordable.
Right.
For everybody.
That's what I was about. I mean, we're helping the customer's pocketbook. I mean, gosh, man, you look at today's times, money don't grow on trees,
Well, and because Rough Country has generally been on the leading edge of price point, a lot of competitors is where it starts. Will lean in and say, "Oh man, it must be cheap." Right. There's low cost and cheap are synonymous.
Right. There's that perception.
So we battle a little bit of that perception with being low cost and really being value.
Right.
And I say that about our competitor because I was one.
Right. No, for sure.
Yeah, you're coming from that area.
Well, that's what makes your POV unique.
I was a competitor with a different distribution method that just did not allow me to compete with the same product at the same price.
Sure.
How do you beat that? Well, you try and focus on your own. I always subscribe to brag, don't drag.
Right.
If you couldn't say anything nice, just don't say it at all.
Sure.
Not everybody's that way.
Right.
And it does get spread around out there. But Rough Country does make a good quality product.
Right.
We just don't have as many steps in the distribution process as a lot of our peers or competitors, and therefore can get it delivered to the consumer at a much more affordable price point.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and less people picking at it on the way through.
Yeah.
Well, and look, man, we look at you think about the competitive environment. If we're talking suspension, our competitor is not just another suspension manufacturer, right? We're talking about being a competitor for the next $1,000 of discretionary income.
Right. Absolutely.
That could be a new TV.
Right.
That could be a computer. It could be a camera. It could be all kinds of things. There's endless ways to spend money. We want to make sure that we're delivering a product that people can afford, and that people are willing to invest their money in and grow the industry.
Yeah, no, that's a good breakdown of it to help people. I mean, because at times, just through a lot of conversations, even that I've had, just breaking that it's eye opening, and it helps communicate the commitment that we, Rough Country, and as chain of command, y'all make your decisions based off of how we operate, the importance and the value placed on the customer, and what it requires for them to build their truck or to put that bed cover on their rig. Anything we're involved in. So that's definitely a good breakdown. Well, Burks, you got any more questions?
No, I'm good. I think it's been super eye-opening for me, even though I know Tim for a while now and it works side by side with him.
Yeah.
I still enjoy listening to him talk.
Yeah.
Occasionally.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Occasionally. There's some more eye-opening, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, it's been good, and I'm grateful that he was able to carve out some time of his busy schedule to come in and talk to us.
Yeah. Well, Tim, thank you for your time. Thank you for
thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, thank you for helping us as a company set high standards for ourselves, the way we operate, the decisions we make, because ultimately most problems that any people or companies or that go on, it starts with leadership, and that's we're all trying to help support that. So thank you for your time. Thank you for lending just your experiences with us, and we appreciate you.
Anytime.
Copy that.
Anytime. Thank you.
Control C.
For more information or more episodes, head on over to roughcountry.com/podcast.